This week on thERINpy, it's co-parenting coach Jay Skibbens. Jay helps co-parents break out of survival mode and create emotional safety and freedom. And Jay has a crazy story that I will let him tell. And he's here today to coach me. I've been co-parenting for 2.5 years. It's going well-ish. I have some challenges that I would like to run by him. Please do me a favor and hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this episode. That way you'll get an alert every time a new thERINpy drops. And please consider taking 2 quick seconds to leave thERINpy a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Super quick, doesn't take a lot of time. Did I mention that? It would help me so much. If you get anything out of this episode yourself, or you know someone that is having co-parenting struggles, challenges, please consider sending this to them, sharing it on social media, tag me, tag Jay. And now your weekly dose of thERINpy with Jay Skibbens. So thERINpy is me doing live therapy with a relationship coach or a mental health professional. And a lot of my recent episodes have been about divorce and co-parenting. And to give you a little context, I filed 2.5 years ago. We have 2 kids, still not finalized, and we're going to end up doing mediation, but civil, very civil, just wasn't working out. So I've been co-parenting for 2.5 years. I said in the intro, I wouldn't say, I guess challenges. We've had some challenges that I want to directly, go through with you. I love how direct you are with people. Call me on my bullshit. I love that. That's why you're here. But I want to start with your story. Can you talk about your childhood and your relationship or lack thereof with your father, kind of what you saw between your parents?
I didn't see my parents together at all. My story is that my mom sent my dad to jail for like check fraud before I was even born. They were dating, they weren't married, and he was in jail when I was born. Apparently, I didn't find this part out until like literally 5 years ago. But apparently, she took me to visit him once when I was a baby in prison, and then I only met him twice afterwards, like when I was 7 or 8, and then I was 12. So kind of that idea of like, what was my childhood like? It was like I have deep wounds of not being chosen because my dad literally didn't choose me. And then what I've found in my own, journey through coaching, through doing a lot of the healing that is still ongoing, is that I'm also realizing that my mom was in survival mode so much of the time she was raising me, and like it was all on her. I also have older siblings, but for like by the time I was like 8 or 9, it was mostly just me and her. And I know, like I read things, I hear things that it's like I've always known that my mom loved me, but I'm also realizing that like what that means might not be the love that I needed. Like
Mhm.
I think that she felt very obligated. Like she loved me because she was my mom, and that's what moms do.
You've unpacked it. You're very self aware. And now you can use that as a father yourself. What I wanted to ask, you've always wanted to be a dad. I know you worked at a daycare center. With you not having your dad in your life, not having the blueprint of how to be a dad, how to be a man, why do you think you wanted to be a dad? You would think it would be the opposite.
I grew up in church, so like there was
Mm.
times I'd work like the children's church like service, right? And
Yeah.
basically from the time I was old enough to like not be able to go, I conned my way into helping because I just didn't want to go upstairs to the adult church, right?
It's boring. Yeah.
And
Got it.
yeah, it was just so clear how much kids respond, like they responded to me. And I do
Yeah.
think that that was because I was fun, but I think it's as much to do because I'm a man, like or I was a boy, a young man, and
Yes.
there would be times that like a mom or an adult woman would be trying to get the kid to do something and she'd be doing it in a mom way. And
Yeah.
then I would come over and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. And they'd be like, okay. And then they just like, they just come over and do it. It wasn't effort. It wasn't like something I had to figure out. It was just like, I'm going to be me. I'm going to let them be them. And they would listen and I understood them.
Okay. Um, is it at the daycare center where you met your boy's mother?
It was at a daycare center. Yes, we
Okay.
both worked there.
Okay. Can you talk about what your relationship was with her? Because it wasn't like a relationship, correct?
Correct. You know what I have to say, I appreciate you do not pull punches. Most people want to just, skate around it, but no, we were
No.
friends with benefits. Like, there's so many ironic things, and just a quick tangent. I think that if my mom could have picked one thing for me to never struggle with, it would have been sex. Like, it would have been like having a healthy relationship with sex. She was very anti-porn. Guess what? When you make that the number one thing that you don't want your kid to struggle with, I found it, and to
Yeah.
me, since we didn't have open communication and we didn't like talk about those things, they were just like cardinal sins.
Yeah.
Um, I found a lot of escapism in porn, and then I found a lot of escapism in like using women for validation and like
Yeah.
sex as validation. And so
Yeah.
a lot of my 20s was like exploring sex, but also I felt very validated through having sex, but then also a lot of shame because that's the number one thing I wasn't supposed to be doing. Um,
Yeah. You
so
grew
my
up in the
relationship,
church too, like, so it's, like, not even
right?
just your mom, it's, like, so taboo everywhere around you, and I relate to that so much because I struggled very much with eating disorders, like anorexia and bulimia, and it's the one thing that I will not let happen to my daughter, but it's, like, you're making me reassess that, like, how I talk about it because I don't want it to be this big thing because then it ends up being a thing. It's, like, you have to be so careful about it because that's the one thing you don't want them to get into, but you're right. It could make it the way that you're handling it makes it the one thing that they will seek out.
Well, and as I coach co-parents, that's like the number one thing I hear is like I didn't want my kids to go through what I went through. I didn't want my kids to
Yes.
experience this divorce, and then they are. And so to me, like my mom, I'm 37. My mom is almost 70, and it's this point where I just wish she would have just talked about it. I mean, I have two siblings. We all have different dads. My mom's been married 4 times. Like,
Yeah.
talk to me about those experiences. Don't just like put them in a closet and just cross your fingers and tell me that stuff is bad. Like, talk to me about what happened. Talk to me about how it made you feel. Talk to me about what you were going after. Like, why did you keep trying? Like, what was it about men or relationships that made you keep going after it? Because that would have helped a lot more than don't watch porn. Porn is evil, and keeping it as this vague thing. Like, we didn't talk very much about these things. Um, so to me, even leading back into my co-parents, this is where I kind of want to be respectful of my co-parents,
I get it.
because like the way that we had sex just opened up a whole new universe to me. I'll just say it that way. That like I had been having sex, and then sex with her was like otherworldly.
Got it.
And to me, it's very much like if somebody had been smoking weed and then found like cocaine or heroin, and it was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this exists, this
Great
feeling,
analogy. Yeah.
this pleasure exists,
Yeah.
and I was just hooked. It like I describe it so often that it felt like a drug. So to me, that was like the cycle I got in right away. Was like it wasn't even necessarily a relationship. It was more like a drug habit where I would do just about anything to score, like and literally and figuratively. So that put me in self abandonment places. That put me in promising things I wasn't always going to deliver on. And we had 2 kids,
Yeah.
and when my oldest was like 2.5 and my younger one was just over a year, I found out that they weren't biologically mine. And that was only because there was a third kid. And I was present for all these births. I was there, I was dad. And I found out then, like when that third child was like 2 months old, that none of them were biologically mine. So
Yes.
it's just like, yeah, I coach a lot of moms, like that's primarily who I coach. I think that a lot of moms have a point in their marriage, some of them abusive, some of them like abuse adjacent, that it's like they had a moment where it's like for them it was enough. For them, it was finally the moment. But if they tell it, it's like, oh my gosh, how did I not leave 18 times before? How did I not
Yeah.
break free from this 18 times before? That was mine. You know,
Mhm.
it rocked me pretty hard.
I can't even imagine. Thank you for being so transparent about it. Just following you and like knowing your story, and I have you here. I had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Did part of you not want to take the DNA test because you didn't want to know they weren't yours? Like you had this inkling, but like did part of you be like, I don't want to know, like these are my kids, and it would make it harder to find out that they weren't your biological kids?
So I think that for me, it was much more like the biggest reason why I did it was because there were so many lies that
Yeah.
were so blatant,
Did
and
she know that they weren't yours, or did she assume they were?
I the way that especially when women ask me this, I kind of reflected back as like, could you have not known? Like I guess like
I
I've
fair.
gotten it to the point to the like where I know she knew I was an option. Like maybe she wanted me to be the one, maybe I was the best
Sure.
choice. And I
Sure.
respect yeah, there's so much I've done so much healing. I really don't hold any animosity towards her because without her making those choices, I don't have the life that I have now. And I have a very hard time imagining that my life would be better if she hadn't have made those choices.
So true.
So exactly, right? Like it's
Yeah.
I have a six-figure growing global business. I have faced some of my toughest, darkest demons. I have two amazing kids. Like dude, like, and
Yeah.
I think most women, once you really kind of get to the root of the story, like, I think that she was trying to get what she wanted, which was to be chosen and to be a wife and to have somebody love her and take care of her through sex. And I was trying to get chosen and validation and reward through sex. And we were both really wounded. And,
Mhm. But
you know,
look what
she's
came
married.
from it.
I mean, really, honestly, yeah. Like like she's married now. She's been married for I
Right.
think 4 years, and they seem to be doing well. We co-parent pretty well. Like we definitely don't fight, and it's not animosity. It's not how I always wanted it to be, but I have acceptance around that as well. But your question was like, how, like, did I want to know, or like would knowing change things? For me, knowing was like the anchor I needed to like validate my experience. Like
I
if
get
I
that.
would I guess I needed it to be like, yes, this is the truth. I needed some truth
Sure.
in that like chaos of lies. And I manipulation is a strong word. I think that looking back, she was in survival mode herself and she was just making like step by step choices that like she wasn't thinking long term. She
Sure.
so I needed that truth for myself.
Did you worry that their biological dad would come in the picture and, like, want them, or is he in the picture? Do they know?
Sometimes it's hard for me to even go back to like put myself in that exact mindset.
Okay.
I know that it was on my mind that maybe they would, but I also
Yeah.
know that like she she was so hesitant to give any information that like I tried to find out more and I just didn't. I didn't
Okay.
know anything. So I
Okay.
had to like learn how to live without that information. It did not seem like a pressing matter that like somehow they'd show up. So they're not involved whatsoever. I don't know if the men know. I don't
Okay.
I don't know if she has contact with them anymore. But like again, it's also wild because now that's something that I share with my kids. Like we have this bond that the three of us
Yeah.
don't know our biological dads.
Wow,
And that's such
yeah.
a wild thing to share with your sons. My life is just this culmination of like nothing has happened by accident, and I really believe that that's the case for everybody. I just feel like I've embraced it, and
Yes.
that's what my I'm on. This is what I'm on earth to do. Like it doesn't make any sense that why question it, but this is my path.
It uncovered your purpose, like, all of this had to happen to uncover what you're so clearly supposed to do. How did you heal? You can just tell when you talk about it, you've healed from that, like, betrayal, and anything that you learned during that time that you could share with somebody that maybe is still in the middle of a divorce, maybe they were cheated on, like, and infidelity, anything in your healing journey that was helpful for you.
So the number one thing I'll say is that anybody who says they have healed or they have done the work in past tense, do not listen to them. Like do
Okay.
not follow that person. I am still healing. I am still like, I will be doing this work forever because what I found is that it's so much deeper than my co-parent. My co-parent just triggered these things. She just brought these things out, but so much of it happened in childhood. Like obviously not being, chosen by my dad created deep wounds, not having a father figure whatsoever. My mom being in survival mode. She really didn't like from the time I was like 5 until like 25, she didn't date. So I also had like no concept of what a relationship looked like.
Yeah.
So there's just like the healing. How did I heal? I was angry at my co-parent for a number of years. And like that was really like that was pure justification. How like I would tell the story, she was the bad guy. Everybody would be like, "Oh, Jay, like how could you do that?" Like, in this like amazing knight in shining armor way. Like I
Yeah. You're
how
the hero.
amazing! Like you're gonna, yeah, like, and became its own kind of drug where it's like I tell the story, I get this huge hit of dopamine or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and then it like after a while it stopped hitting as hard. It
Mm.
stopped giving me that feeling, and then I realized that I was angry at myself. And then it was like, well, yeah, because you betrayed yourself over and over and over. You became this version of yourself to get her to choose you or to get her to sleep with you that's not really you. And like it's
Mhm.
just this extension of like never feeling enough, never being satisfied, never being able to calm down, never being able to sit with myself. So everything that I've been able to grow from has come from like self-reflection, accountability, and like using these things to understand like what I was looking for and what I was searching for so much more than like blaming her for her choices. Like her choices were just a catalyst. Her choices were just an opportunity. But it always has come back to what was I needing? Like what was I searching for? What was I yearning for that pushed me to act that way?
What a beautiful segue into coaching me. I also validated, I wouldn't say through sex, but through relationships, being chosen by shiny men. And I have unpacked this like I'm 44, I'm older than you. But in college, I dated the star basketball player. And I married my husband. We started dating when he was in the prime of his career in the NFL. And I had no self worth. And if they chose me, these important
Mm,
guys, I'm their pick, then I'm shiny by association. And I didn't step into self-worth until I had my second child at about 37. And then at that point, I stepped fully into who I am. I write a book, create a nonprofit for teen girls that are struggling with
mm,
body image. Everything just aligned, like you were saying, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. That when I stepped into that, into purpose, my marriage went the other way because it's kind of like not what he signed up for. I was just on his arm and now I had this career. So we were married 10 years. We dated 10 years before that. So 20-year relationship. I finally, my last ditch effort, I moved to the South where he's from, where I am now 4 years ago. It got worse, Jay. So I filed after being down here for 2 years. He's been out of the house for 2.5 years and we've been co parenting. You're healing from this person that I've been in a relationship with for 20 years and having to co parent with them. So there's the emotions and there's the communication issue because you're mad about like the relationship still not working out. It's not really about the kids because there's so much there. Like, first of all, how does somebody kind of untether themselves
mm,
to look at it as co-parenting? We are not together. He's been gone for 2.5 years, but there's still that like emotional component where you're not healed. And like you said, nobody's going to be healed. You're still healing, but you are
mm,
trying to co-parent with a person that you're still healing from. Like our divorce still isn't even finalized. So somebody that hasn't like untangled that part of it yet and is still trying to co-parent with all of that emotion on top of it.
I love that question, and I just appreciate the gravity of like trying to navigate that. And to me, what you're asking is more of a result based question. Like, how do I untether? That's a result.
Yeah.
That's like down the road. Maybe that's what we'll get to.
Okay.
What we need are systems and processes to handle the everyday things. And to
Okay.
me, what I find over and over with clients is that one of the key components of any healthy life is being able to process your emotions. And that's something that most of us are severely lacking in, right?
Uh-huh.
So to
I just
me,
try to go past it and not sit with it.
right, and obviously you're a high achiever. So what I also want people to understand and what you to understand is that Like, that's emotional energy that it takes to write a book. It's emotional energy that it takes to, do the nonprofit. So it's emotional energy that it takes to run this podcast.
Mhm.
To me, it takes that same amount of emotional energy to sit with your feelings, like to sit with discomfort, to sit with anger, to sit with dread, guilt, fear, shame, uncertainty. And what people have to understand is that everything that you're going to be doing from here on out is going to be caked in uncertainty. Like, you've
Mm.
never co-parented before. You've
Mm-mm.
never parented any kids older than 2 and 4 before, like, or however old your kids
Well,
are.
now yeah. Sure.
Every day that they're
Right.
alive, you've never parented that age before. Um, it's also something that you didn't prepare for. So,
Mm-mm.
to me, people have a real aversion to uncertainty and to conflict, so they try to figure out a way to live life with those things removed, and in
Or manipulate
co-parenting.
it so you can control it. Well, you
Yeah,
manipulate
to give
everything
you
so you
the
don't
give
have it.
yourself the illusion.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's an illusion. It's
It's an
delusion,
illusion for
really,
sure.
is to think that
100%.
you can, while parenting children, co-parenting with an ex, and running a business, that you can live a conflict-free, emotion-free, stress-free, uncertainty-free life.
Mhm.
No, let's just get good. Let's get better at facing conflict, at facing uncertainty, because that, if you put out a podcast, you're not, there's no way to guarantee who's going to listen to it. You've got to just trust. If you
Yeah.
parent a certain way, there's no way you can parent with according to all the books, and there's no way to guarantee your kid's success. You've just got to trust. So the same thing happens with co-parenting and processing your emotions. There's no way to guarantee you're going to untether. There's no way to guarantee it's going to be this amicable, beautiful, happy-go-lucky co-parenting. But we've got to trust that if I do these specific things, then I'm setting myself up for better success, and I'm setting myself up that even if this other person doesn't do what I hope that they do, that I'm still going to find a way.
That's so I say codependency, I've been told it's dependency because it's not co. I what he does very much affects like my parenting. I'm a very anxious person and I like to know communication. Like I'm sure that I'm not the first person that's at like you need to know something because you're scheduling it and the person your co-parent that's a friend of mine's co-parent, not mine. This is somebody who wrote this in, was like, he won't respond. Like
Hmm.
Jay, not hours, days. And
Yeah.
so this is this extra layer of anxiousness that I want off of me because I don't do well without things checked off. That's just my personality. And they will not respond. Call, they don't answer. You text, they don't text back. Like that is adding so much anxiety, unnecessary anxiety to my life, which could be rectified in a 2-second okay, or something that like is important. Like, do you have like a project or something that needs to go back? She needs money for this. Just say okay. And then sometimes they have it, but just won't give you that okay so that you have to sit with all the anxiety that your child is unprepared for something at school the next day, for example. How like that is so frustrating to me, and I know it's like, I can't control it. He's got it, they're on their time, but the communication of just giving me an okay, like, "This is handled," and they won't, and I don't and no, I hear myself, that's me trying to control what's going on over there, but it is for the sake of my daughter. Like, I can't.
No, I appreciate that last part, right? Because to me, that's the thing that trips up co-parents all the time, is that it's for the sake of my kids, it's for the sake of my daughters, for the sake of my son or our kids. And the
Yeah.
reality is that what you do there is that you get so close to sitting with the emotion, and then you outsource it. Like, you're
Ooh,
outsourcing it to, well, it's for the kids, so it's bigger, it's more important.
I'm trying to make it more important. It's 100% about my anxiety. I will own that.
Yes.
100%. But also, I do need to make sure she doesn't show up without that because she'll be embarrassed. There is a component that it's like, I'm not asking him about him. The things that I'm
Right. There's
communicating about are for the
also
kid.
and I'll walk it through with you, but it's also the reality that this is her reality.
How so? Wait. Oh, not
Like,
being
that's
able to have me take care of things
right.
anymore.
She has 2 parents in 2 different houses that don't have healthy, perfect communication. That is part of her reality. And if she has a dad or a parent, it might also be a mom that is less than reliable or isn't, 10 steps ahead, she's got to learn how to deal with that too. And to be
Sucks.
fair, it does suck,
That's not her
but this
fault.
is when like, think about it this way, like, the same thing that we started talking about with my mom, where if she just would have talked to me about her relationships with men or her, relationship with sex, that would have been so much more effective for me having a healthy relationship with sex than what she did, what she was trying to prevent, protect, keep away.
Yeah.
What's happening here is very similar, is that you're trying to figure out how many different hoops you need to jump through so that she doesn't experience that embarrassment or she doesn't experience that feeling. When the
Yes.
reality is that it sucks, and this is the best time for her to experience it so that she learns the lessons now.
Mm.
And let's not even go there yet, because as you're learning to let go of the control, it also lets the co-parent step up or handle it in their way. Because a lot of co-parents that I talk to, and I'm sure with love you fall into this category sometimes, is that it's like, if we could just get on the same page, if we could just get on the same page.
Yeah.
But it's never the co-parent that I'm talking to going to the other person's page.
Because their page is not.
To be fair, you chose them. And this is what I want to break down for every co-parent who's listening, is that if they're so awful and they're so disorganized, and some people will tell you they're so unsafe, they're so like terrible, they're a detriment to the kids, then they chose the better co-parent. And
I
let's
think
just go ahead.
I have guilt that I filed. And so, like, when you're saying, for example, when you're saying she needs to feel what it's like, I put her in this position. I filed for divorce, which means my kids have to now go back and forth. And now she's going to feel embarrassed when she doesn't have something at school. It's like I'm taking on the extra weight of it because I put all of this in place by filing for
Okay.
divorce. Now my daughter, so I have that, like, I can't make my daughter feel it because this was my fault. I put all this into place. So that's why I'm taking the extra onus of, like, making sure everything is perfect for her because I did this. This is not something she chose. I chose it.
So, and that's real. So let's sit with that, because let's just name that you're punishing yourself for
Well, I'm not gonna
choices.
punish her. I would rather punish myself because I made the choice. She didn't make the
Right,
choice.
but how does punishing yourself help her?
It does not. Wow. Yeah.
At
Yeah.
all.
At all.
And it's not like we have to act like it doesn't suck. But to me, what you're doing is you're like, to me, I didn't name it then, or I didn't like say anything then, but it sounds like you've been a high achiever from the jump,
What? Yes.
right?
Yes. Like,
And
to a
most people,
fault, to a
right, because I would
toxically.
imagine, I mean, if you were a client, like, the first thing that we would talk through is like, tell me about what it was like growing up. And what I mean by that is, like, what was your role in the house? Like, who
Firstborn
did you go?
perfectionist. I run shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you
So
shocked?
that means, like, in the similar way that, like, I was hyper vigilant about my mom's emotions, so, like, I felt like if she was calm, I was okay, right? Like, that was how I operated.
Hmm.
So that dictates a lot of my first reactions, a lot of my not natural, but a lot of my conditioning is to look for that, and to honestly, I've learned to manipulate situations to help myself, and I've
Yeah.
had to unlearn some of those things. So same here is like, you have this conditioning, this wiring that says, if my daughter's not, 10 out of 10, then that's reflecting poorly on me, which means I'm less worthy. I have less worth. I have less value because my daughter is suffering.
I don't know if I feel like I have a less value. Actually, when you're saying my daughter's not 10 out of 10, I am that way about my ex because we were together so long. Like, I see him, he's retired and doesn't have a lot going on. And that I take that on and see what he's going through so much because just want him. My therapist is like, you long for his healing and you want, because I'm the person in his life and I see what could be and his potential and what's not happening. And I take that on and I am stressed. And when he is good and he'll call and say he's going to coach or something, like, the weight goes off my shoulders. I'm always holding stuff that isn't mine to make, and I know that I do it so that it's a coping mechanism for my anxiety. And I do want the best for him, but I do it so I can have it off my shoulders because I tend to take on, if he's not good, I'm not good. So when you were saying that about my daughter, I thought about, I do that also with my ex, who is still my husband. If he's not good, not that I think it reflects poorly on me or like I'm not 10 out of 10. I don't know if that it's like I just don't have to hold it anymore. It's not something else I
Yeah.
have to like walk around with. I want it off me.
Right. To me, a lot of what all of us are searching for is some version or combination of relief, safety, and freedom.
Yeah.
So that's why, if you think about, like, for me, porn was relief, like relief from like the stress, or like it's a lot less, like, I think, sexually dependent for me than it is like a true coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So to me, like, it's my go-to relief function. And for you, it sounds like there is some relief that happens if you can get him to do a certain thing, or to
Yes.
respond a certain way. It's relief. So then to me, it's like, okay, then how can you start to give yourself that relief? Same way that I have to, again, still consistently, like I say with any alcoholic or addict, it's like I don't get to a point where I'm just not ever gonna have that urge. I've got to have consistency on how am I giving myself relief that isn't tied to porn. So for you, it would be a similar path where it's like, how can you find that relief that you that, like, honestly, I think that the question would be like, what is it that you believe will happen if your co-parent is that 10 out of 10? What to what end? What comes from that?
If he's a 10 out of 10,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't have this extra noise that, like, worrying about what's happening in my house and what's happening over there. Like, it would be my life would be lighter. If he's 10 out of 10, then that's one less thing I have to worry about. Like, I want a life like him. He never has to worry that the kids aren't going to have a lunch. The kids aren't going to be wearing a reindeer shirt tomorrow because it's wear a reindeer shirt day. He never has that extra because I'm on it. If he's 10 out of 10, then I can, I could probably just think about me. When I don't have the kids, it's not like I just think about me. I have to have that. It's easier when they're with me because I don't have that extra. What I know that I shouldn't do that. What did they eat? How many times did they have fast food today? What's in their lunchbox? What time do they go to bed? I can't let go of that. And if he was 10 out of 10, I wouldn't have to think about those things anymore. I could just watch a show. I could get my life back. I don't even know what that would look like because I've never been able to in the 10 years that we've been parents that he is 10 out of 10.
And so, how does it feel to say that out loud, number one?
Good.
Okay.
Better. Thank
Right.
you.
And to me, like, there's a 5-part process that I walk people through. It's recognition, awareness and accountability, skill building, application, and then adjustment. And to me, like, what you're at right now is recognition. Like, you're recognizing that that's the pattern, that's the cycle, that's what's happening. The
Mhm.
awareness is very similar to, and I really only use the addict or alcoholic because I want people to understand that I get how hard it is to change these things. I don't ever want to come onto a podcast or talk to a co-parent, like, oh, just stop worrying about your kids.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, it really is that hard to for you to not worry about, did they eat too much fast food, are they staying up too late, do they have too much screen time, are they getting their homework done, will they have their uniform, is she going to
Yes.
have the project.
Yes.
But so the key then is that the awareness and the accountability is like, okay, the awareness is, what is this emotion that's coming up for me?
Anxiety,
Okay.
anxiousness, like, ugh, like what's gonna happen?
Right, I've gotta fix this.
Yeah.
I've gotta do something. It's like they might experience
Yes.
something, I've gotta do something.
Yes.
Then the accountability is, other people's emotions aren't my responsibility. So what is it that I need?
Yes. I need it off me. It's almost like a selfish, like I need to control so I feel better.
And
I
so
hear
it's
it.
like, if I can do that, or if I can get him to do that, I'm gonna outsource this so that then I can take that class, or then I can think about myself. I can take care of myself. And
Yeah.
that's where I really help moms in particular. You have to be willing to choose to do those things before you have the evidence that it's okay to do those things.
Well, I don't have any evidence, so I guess I gotta just do it. I know, but it's like the mom guilt of like putting it on the repercussions of me not reminding him of something fall on my kid. And I know you said it's better when they're younger. She's 10. But I feel like
Okay.
this is such a hard time. Like she's gonna be
Right,
at
but
school not
if
wearing the
that's the
shirt.
logic, at what point is it not a hard time? Like, when do
So
you
true.
get a
Yeah.
reprieve from that?
Just be better. And then it won't
Right,
be on her
And
ever. You're right.
this is
Teenage
this
will be
is
worse.
this is the extension of I can't control what happens over there. But you can stagnate growth. I want co-parents to hear this. You can contribute to stagnation if you keep reminding what's the motivation to change and how does he, like, if you keep doing it, he's never going to like overstep that and be like, oh no, now I've got it. Men in particular really learn best from experience. Like, so he might have to see the heartbreak. He might have to see something that inspires change in him.
Yeah, I hear you, and that would work. Like, that would inspire change, but I feel like a shitty co-parent would be like, let him fall on his ass, and then the kids are gonna be crying, be like, "Dad, why'd you do that?" I keep him afloat. Like, I'm
Right.
not letting that
What would
happen. I could
happen?
do that,
What would happen if you kept tying your kids' shoes?
and they would be an adult in college asking
Right.
someone to
What would
tie their
happen
shoe.
if you kept choosing your kids' outfits? They would never learn how to dress themselves.
I guess, yeah, I'm trying to make them not look at him like he forgot things. I'm trying to protect their perception of him by keeping him afloat. But if I just let him, you're right, because if I stop, he'll have to figure it out. But then at the cost of their embarrassment or their like perception of him, which I don't want them to be
I
like,
and
dad
I
never
That
knows
is
what's going
something
on.
that co-parents worry about so much more before it ever happens. Like almost an anxiety thing as well because you haven't dealt with it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, what a thing to be able to connect with your kids on. Embarrassment. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Mm.
How many
Yeah.
times were you embarrassed in high school?
Lots of times.
How many
Yeah.
times were you embarrassed in junior high?
It's
Imagine
so
being able to
hard.
connect with your kids. For me, I've got a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old son, both, two boys. For my older son, like my younger son is just this cuddle bug who's like very amiable.
Yes. So is
He's
mine.
pure hearted. My older one is a lot like me in the sense that like he's just got like 10 out of 10 emotions like ready to go at any given time.
We have the
And
same situation.
okay, so
Exact
then
same.
right. So to me, one, it used to trigger me so much when my older son would get angry.
Mm.
And he would yell, he would cuss. Sometimes like especially when they were younger, he'd really go after his younger brother. And I would try to like correct and stop his anger.
Mhm.
And then I would talk to him about it, like if you would stop doing this or if you would just do this. And it wasn't really changing anything. And to be fair, I just don't think I wasn't doing a good job with anything in that era of parenting. And a big moment that changed was that, like, afterwards, I would tell him a story about how I felt that mad.
Mm.
Because, like, they need to know you know exactly how they feel, and they're never going to know that if it's coming through a lecture of how they should be different or how they could have done it differently. Because there would be times that he'd be mad or he'd say something, and then I'd tell him a story about how, like, my mom had done something. And as she was walking out the door, I was like flipping her off and like cussing at her in my head. And he wouldn't always say something, but you could you know how your kid's eyes light up and like, oh,
Yeah.
dad's a human. Dad does get it. And to me, being able to connect through some of those tougher emotions, like there's times that he's seen me sad. And it's like I could just like, no, no, nothing, everything's fine, everything's fine. Or I could be like, dude, like life is really hard right now. Like
Yeah.
I have a business and I feel like I'm failing right now. And I'm worried that I haven't signed a client in 3 weeks and money's stressful. And that's
Yeah.
not me putting my burdens on him. It's the fact that I'm allowed to feel these things. And maybe obviously he doesn't know what it's like to run his own business, but he knows what it's like to be stressed. He knows what it's like to be
Yes.
sad. He knows what it's like to feel something in himself, still feel something in his body that makes regular functioning hard.
Yes, and he knows he's allowed to feel things too because 'cause you're modeling that, and I feel like there's just such a my ex is 48, and just the way he grew up, it's like, "Get up, boys don't cry," like, it's strength to just be strong, you don't cry, and crying is like vulnerability was weakness, and it's the most endearing quality, like this. I want my son to know, like, he'll be like, Mom, I was crying. I was like, you can cry, but it hurt. So you showing them it is okay as a man to have vulnerability and not grow up and think that they can't have emotions because it's weak. Like you're giving permission and you didn't have that, but look at you giving it to your sons.
Right. And to be fair, it's because I've had this path to walk and I've embraced it. So to me, and again, with love and respect, there's so many co-parents out there who are trying to prevent the path their kids, like that has been laid before their kids.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have your kids if it wasn't for him.
Right.
So he is the dad they need.
It's a very good point. And I love him. Like I we have a great I'm gonna we have a solid
It works.
co-parent. It does. It's not like he like this my ex, like there's a lot of people that don't even know we're not married. Like we're so married, but but then is
Right.
that confusing? Like are we
So
showing them
again, to me, the idea of is it confusing or not is always mitigated by like, what are you actually saying? What are you actually doing? Like talking to my kids about that
yeah.
I'm not bio dad, right? And I probably told them about 3 years ago. So that, 7, 8-ish. And my only real hesitance to telling them um, was because I knew, especially for my older son, as he's the one I described, that it would go into the chamber and like come out when he was upset.
Yeah.
And it did. Like
Oh,
there was probably a 6-month period after telling them that they'd be upset, or it's him in particular, and he'd be like, "This is why you don't have kids of your own," or "This is why, like, why don't you go get your own kids?" And then other times in a much more like casual way that we'd be like at Target and we'd be checking out, and somebody like, "Oh, your dad's buying you such and such," and they'd be like, "Oh, that's not my dad," and
oh
it's
my
just like
god.
shit, like. I promise I'm allowed to be around them, kind of a thing. The reason I touch on that and then come back is, even to pull this all the way into like the healing journey, is that I wish like all co-parents knew that if like I could show you, I've got probably 8 journals that I've filled in the last 10 years. And probably even more so, most of that has come in the last 5 since I started coaching. And that's because there's so much that happens up here in my head that I just can't carry with me if I want to be functional, if I want to get the things done. And so many of the strategies, Biff method, Jade, gray rocking, like they're all there and designed to like help you take the emotions out of the communication or take the emotions out of the interactions, but then they never teach you what to do with the emotions. And if co-parents on a consistent basis knew and had the capacity to sit with their emotions, to sit with the potential embarrassment, to sit with and decide it's okay if it's confusing right now. It's okay if my kids don't understand everything right now. Like I'm still doing a good job. I can be angry and still be a good mom. I can let my kids down and still be a good dad. I can like these things like I promise you people are spending tens and twenties and fifties of thousands of dollars because they're emotional. People call it high conflict co-parenting. It's high emotions. Like
How
that
could
to
there
me is
not
what.
be emotions, right? Like,
Right, but no, it's almost like this taboo. Everybody's willing to throw
yeah.
around the word narcissist, but I'll tell you the truth. The longer I coach, and I coach primarily women, there's not a lot of difference between a narcissist and a people pleaser. When you get to the root of it,
Oh,
you want to go through this real quick? They're
go.
so similar because one, they're both deeply scared to be like shown and exposed for like their true self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. They're also like people will say a narcissist wants to control the narrative. What do we think people pleasing is?
The same
You
thing.
even said I don't like controlling the narrative is also I don't want my kids to think poorly of their dad. So I'm going to do what I can to control that narrative.
Yes. It's all control. Yes.
And
Yes. You're so right.
I'm self-abandoning myself on a consistent basis, whether I'm people pleasing or I'm a narcissist. Narcissist is just louder. It is, and to be fair, and I say this because I would imagine a lot of your like audience is women. It is inherently more violent. Like that is the thing that I want to say as a man. men in general, narcissistic does have a violent undertone.
Mhm.
At the same time, there's a lot of like the coaching that I do that if I was coaching you, we would barely talk about your co-parent because it's you that's sitting with that anxiety. It's you that's sitting with that shame. It's you that's trying to navigate life, doing everything for everyone. And then maybe when that magical to-do list is checked off, then there'd be time for you.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we would sit down and practice making small adjustments. Because if
Okay.
we think about it this way, if 99 times out of 100 you're doing things for somebody else and once out of 100 you're doing something for yourself, then doing two things out of 100 for yourself is a 100% improvement.
Yeah.
Like think about that. We don't need to like make you and your kids on the same level right away. But that means if by the end of, say, 3 months of working together, which is how long my parenting program is, that we got you to 5 times out of 100, you were doing something for yourself. That's a 500% improvement. If you applied 500% improvement to any other part of your life, would anybody like to 500 at like 500 times their bank account, like
Yeah,
your health, your sleep?
exactly.
Like if you
Uh-huh.
did 500 times anything, it would
Yeah.
be such a huge impact that is not like we don't need to I don't need to change you. You have
I
everything you need already inside of you. We just need to like give your be the one to instead of looking and waiting for him to be okay or your kids to be okay, to choose that it's okay now.
I think it's just and anyone listening that initiated the divorce, you just feel like, "Okay, I'm doing this, so I'm going to make it so perfect for everyone else because I did this. I will take the extra weight of things so that could be smooth sailing for the kids, and I will take on if he's I will overcompensate because I did this." And I think that that's just such a real thing. Like, you can't give more percent back to you right now because you put all of this into place. Like you made all of this happen. So the kids didn't choose it. So you need to make sure the kids are going to be great and you're going to overcompensate to make sure that that happens because you made the choice. I think that is a real thing for anyone that filed or broke made
So
this a co-parenting situation.
what I would say, and I hear that, and like I work with analogies the best. So to me, that would be like I'm gonna buy this amazing house, but I've only got the money to buy it. But we're not gonna have furniture. We don't have money for food. Like, cool, you made the decision to divorce. Keep going. Like that
Okay.
was
How
one
so?
of
Well, like I am. I feel like I am. I made the decision. So now I'm going to make this great, like for them. Like I feel like I am doing that, but
yeah,
I'm
but
taking it's
they
too much. Like it's
right,
making me,
and to me that's where it comes back. Like you got the divorce.
yeah.
So
So
you need to continue
mm,
that process.
bye.
Meaning, like, one, you have to recreate your life,
Okay.
okay? That also means you have to redefine parenting because so much of our definitions come from preconceived things that we brought into parenting or brought into the marriage. That right now you're probably operating from a this is what a good mom is, and you're probably constantly in contrast to that definition. So a good mom spends all of her time with her kids.
Yeah.
So anytime you want to choose something for yourself, you're
It's
in
bad.
disconnect with that. Right.
Yes.
So there's shame, there's guilt, there's a
Okay.
feeling that's uncomfortable. You're gonna have to change it to I can be a great mom and take time for myself.
Okay. I just
Okay.
have to reframe or like when you're saying what's a good mom, like if I'm with my kids and I'm on my phone, like I'm not being present. I'm very hard on myself for I need to just change like, yeah, you're working on your phone. That's a paid post. Like reframe what's a good mom.
Yeah. And sometimes with that, we need to just put structure around that. Like it's okay to do it. Like I feel better when I'm actually working on my phone, but to me, as somebody else who works on their phone, it gets blurry when I've already made the
Yes.
post and then I'm
Yeah.
spending 20 extra minutes scrolling.
Yes. Right.
Okay? So like that's
Self-awareness. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like that's real too. So I to me, like redefining things helps a lot because Otherwise, and I would imagine if we dove in deeper, there's a level of you grew up trying to be a good girl. Okay, I'm going to get good grades. I'm going to stay out of trouble. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to dress right. Then you were a good athlete or a good honor roll student, a good girlfriend, good wife,
Hmm.
good mom, and now you're trying to be a good co-parent. But where is Erin? The
Hell if I
reality
know.
is right. So you've lost yourself trying to measure up to these standards that exist outside of yourself when in reality, the best girl you could have ever been was just being Erin.
Yeah.
The best girlfriend you could have possibly been was just being you. Same thing with a wife, same thing with a mom. Like that's what I mean by like your kid's dad is exactly who he's meant to be.
Hmm.
So as annoying as that might be, it took me a long time to get over that with my co-parent, for sure. We are very dissimilar in a lot of ways. She's the best mom my kids could have. But that also means that for you and me, like you as yourself, without needing to drastically change yourself, without like the best thing you can do is love and accept who you are right now, because that's really ultimately what you would want for your kids.
100%. Right. So what am I showing them
So
being so hard on myself because I wouldn't want them to be so hard and live the way that I live. So I have to show them to
so that's
accept.
what I mean by like good co-parenting, good things are results, because that's like I wish more people, and this is beyond co-parenting, but like that's a full-time job, especially if you grew up how either one of us grew up, is like kind of making up for decades, really, of not loving and accepting ourselves. Like we're
Yes.
not just going to
Yeah.
change that overnight.
Decades. I know.
Decades,
Yes.
decades.
And we
So
don't want our
it's
kids to live that way. So it's like it's not going to be overnight, but it has to be a priority or they're going to adopt that same way of living. And that's the last thing we would want for them. But that makes me think of your mom. It was the last thing she wanted for you. Such a like,
the phrase I coined was the emotional avatar. Like a lot of us are making our kids our emotional avatar, so we don't actually deal with our own emotions. We try
yeah.
to prevent our kids from feeling them, and then if our kids
Yes.
feel it, we feel like we failed.
Yes, exactly.
So the only way to have peace, the only way to have sustainable joy, the only way to like make progress is by getting more comfortable with your uncomfortable emotions.
So like you text, they don't text back and you just sit in it. You don't keep texting. You just have to be like sit
You
and be
journal. I
uncomfortable
promise
until
you, like, grab a
okay.
journal and
Okay.
write out everything that you're feeling. Like, right now, I am so frustrated because I'll tell you, like, the other thing that we teach is that, like, your emotions are the space between your expectations of what should happen or what you want to happen and the reality of what does happen. We can't control the outcome. You can't control whether they text back. But to be fair, how many times has that happened?
Do you want me to answer that?
I mean, hundreds, thousands?
Yes.
And if your
Yeah.
expectations don't change, that's on you.
Right.
So then, and this is why coaching matters, is because this is a one-time conversation. There's probably 1,300 things that we could pick out with
Right.
anybody to, like, but then to me, we would have to get you to the point where you are going to have to make that decision on your own, whatever it is. You're gonna have to make that call without him. And then that goes against so many things that people are talked about, amicable co-parenting and collaborative co-parenting. Like if you're the decision maker and you have always been the decision maker, that doesn't magically go away because you guys are 50-50 or because you're co-parenting. You
Right.
still you need to make the decisions. And then people are like, Jay, but then they'll be upset. Yes.
I hear
That
you, and they will be upset, but there's another let me give you a scenario. What if you're signing up your son for baseball and you're like, it starts in March. Are you good? Days, weeks. I'm signing him up. The next game is Saturday, your weekend, no response. And then I'm like, is he going to take him to baseball? And then what if like my friend's ex who said, I didn't sign him up for this and it's my weekend. So they're not taking him. And I'm like, I texted you. And so I am in a point where like, do I register? Do I not? You're not responding. Okay. So I'm going to make the decision. I make the decision. It falls on his day. Then my son's like stand there with his glove, like, is he going to take me? And then everyone is affected by my friend's husband's non communication. So yes, I can make the decision, but then I still don't know what's going to happen because someone will not communicate. So even if I'm like, okay, I take that as an answer, what if it falls on their weekend and then they won't, and they're like, I never said I would because I don't communicate ever. And then I'm just in this like, what do I do there?
Then it brings us right back to we've got to make that decision and let go and see what happens.
And leave my guy just standing there with his glove, like not knowing if someone's going to take him. Like I would never do that. I
To
would
be
go
fair,
get
if
him from his house and take him.
right. And to me, again, this is where some of these things are nuanced. We would also look at like people come with a needful energy a lot. And I say this with love to moms because I work with moms a lot. A lot of times, moms text communicate with need.
Yes. Oh,
I
okay.
need
This
you
is
to take
interesting.
him. I need you I need us to communicate. I need us. And it goes
Oh,
back to the idea of safety. It goes back to the idea of if this doesn't happen, if I don't get this response, if you don't say it's okay, if I don't get this or that, then I feel anxious.
yes.
And to be fair, this isn't just a co-parenting thing. This is a universal thing. If you operate with need in any capacity, that is the most repulsive energy known to the universe. If you go into a job interview, I need this interview. I
Yeah.
need you guys to hire me. I need this. Then people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what's going on here? Same thing with
Okay.
money. If I go into every I need to sign this client. I need them to sign with me. I need this. Need is a repulsive energy. A lot of my coaching goes a lot deeper than just scripts. Like we really like it's regulation, it's nervous system, and a lot of women haven't ever experienced like a masculine presence that allows them to calm down or allows them to just like sit back into a everything's going to be okay. So
Mhm.
what women have to really learn from themselves or for themselves is how to do that. And it takes practice handling your emotions, facing that trigger, and then stepping forward. So to me, a lot of what actually helps with co-parenting has very little to do like in reality with the other person. It's like what's happening inside of you. Sure, you
Totally.
can follow the co-parenting plan, but can you sit with your own emotions?
Exactly.
You know, you can get your kid to that practice, but can you handle it if your kid says, "Well, dad decided not to take me,"
No,
without
can't handle it.
and
Because
I
I've sent 100 texts to prevent that feeling that he's having. I've done
right, but
everything I
then can
can
you
to help.
not see the direct line from I sent 100 texts to I'm like my to what my mom did with porn to what you had talked about doing with your kid with eating disorders. The harder
Yeah.
you try to prevent something, the more loud it gets.
Yeah. Well, clearly, because the way I'm doing it is not working. It's we're still, like you said, how many times? 1,000 times he's done this. It's not getting the result that I want. So I need to just try a different approach. I love the reframe of like, I need you to pick them up. Cause that's what I'll be like. I need you to pick them up at 2. So how would I say that instead? Could you pick them up at 2? No, he's not gonna respond to that. So
This is such a deeply embedded societal thing with women is that women are often pressured to seek approval. So what that means is like without even realizing it, like you don't realize that you're actually the decision maker. There's so many moms that I talk to who have the majority custody, but they're feeling hamstrung because this dad who is every other weekend isn't signing off or isn't responding. And it's like you're
yes.
spending so much of your time stressed out by this guy who, and to be fair, the guy could want the kids more, but let's just keep it with that this guy who gets the kids for 48 hours every 2 weeks, like he doesn't get to make as many choices as you.
What if things are falling on his 48 hours? Does he have the choice to be like, I'm not taking him to that birthday party? Like, it's your day. I'm not
Honestly,
taking him.
yes, that is co-parenting.
But then would it be wrong if my friend showed up at her ex's house and took the boy to the party and brought him back? It was like, if you're not going to take him so that the kid can go to the party. Or is that the wrong way to handle that? Just let the kid be like, too bad your dad won't take you.
I very rarely say if things are right or wrong. I
Okay.
because there are certain situations. How would you feel having that done to you?
If there was something going on my weekend
And
and
you
I
did
would
not
not take him
communicate.
and
Right, right. No, no, no. Don't think about this from your perspective.
Oh, I thought you were
Like,
saying if I were him, like, and that he came and
right,
took the
right, right.
kid.
Because if you were him, this wouldn't be a problem. So what you have to
10
do
out
is
of
you have
10.
right. Him
Okay.
not responding is an answer.
I know. I've heard you say that.
So then when you show up at his house unannounced, what you're doing is you're crossing a boundary.
What if you announced it in the text? Like, if I don't hear from you, I will come and take him myself.
Then you're not like to me what like
These are things that are happening out here in these streets, Jay. These are real life scenarios of
you
like,
have to be willing like no, I guess this is the way I would phrase it. You have to be willing to understand that there could be consequences from that. Like and this is what I also want people to know is that one time that could work and one time that could blow up in your face. And that's why I don't teach this is what you do every time
sure,
because sometimes that's gonna be the right call.
I hear you.
And
Okay.
but most of the time, like that's what I mean by the need energy. And that's what it is ever like if you can't allow your kid to miss a friend's birthday party, look in the mirror. Take
That's
some
good.
accountability and skip it this time. If you can't handle that, then you need to address that with yourself first.
I 100% hear you. I hear it. It's ridiculous. But if you can't take your kid to a birthday party when you have nothing else going
Right,
on,
but you
look at
divorced him.
yourself.
This is
Yeah.
this is what I
So
don't like.
true.
This is what I don't get, and this is why people who claim high conflict and claim narcissism. It's like, but you're creating conflict. That's creating conflict by
Yeah,
saying, well, if he would just do better, if you already divorced.
true.
That's what I mean by you've got to process their emotions.
I want him to be better for his kid. Be better for them. Like, but you said he's the dad that they're supposed to have. That was such a reframe for me. Like, you don't even that I will take for like that has changed the way. Yeah, that's I don't like how he parents them, but that's the dad that they are supposed to have. That
And the
really,
crazy,
yeah,
there's
I
gonna
love
be, and you got multiple kids, so there's a good chance that one of them is gonna turn out just like him.
it. Do you have a client? I just see how long we've been going. Do you have to go? Like, I have
No,
one
I
more.
am good.
We talked about my problem with communicate. Sometimes if the ex won't communicate, you said their non-communication is an answer, is communication. Overcompensating. I know we shouldn't do it, but trying to overcompensate for the lack of sleep, nutrients, amount of screen time that they have ingested for 2 days when they come back to me is very hard for me to not I can see it, like how tired they are. So I
Right.
always have to overcompensate. Like, how do you deal with trying not to overcompensate when they've been with your ex?
So I've literally written a guide on how to handle when your kids come back exhausted because my kids come back exhausted every time. And
Okay.
again, it's it's a difference. I want to say this because like especially my younger son will be like we like because they for everybody who's listened for this long, thank you. But also like I didn't say at the beginning, I'm the primary parent.
You
So
are.
part of the reason that I feel like I'm this unicorn in this space is because I have dad mentality with single mom responsibility. So I am doing everyday school. I am doing practices. I am doing sleep. I am doing healthy eating. And then they go to their moms and it's like there is no bedtime, junk food
Yeah.
available. So, yes, when they come back, it can stretch a day or two of
Oh,
still and it's not just that they're tired, it's that their emotions are harder for them to regulate. They fight more. I think that like at their mom's house, I think that it's just whoever yells loudest kind of gets their way. So it's just a different environment altogether.
mhm.
So I can tell you the exact day that changed things for me on transition days. Transition days do not stress me out ever anymore.
'Kay.
And it's like again, I will sound like a broken record because it works. If you can handle your emotions, handling theirs gets so much easier. Because I'll ask you a quick question. How long does it take until you snap?
Not long.
Okay, I appreciate that. And anybody listening, it's how long can it like does it take until you snap? Because to me, That's the problem. It's not that, oh, they're getting so much less sleep or it's this or that. It's because you can't handle it, so you crash out
Yes,
because they crash out.
that is so true.
Yes. So the day that it all changed was they came home and it was like we live an hour apart, so we meet
Oh,
halfway, drive halfway. The ride home was fine, and it was like as soon as we walked through the doors, like this magical threshold, just instantly started fighting, yelling at each other, cussing at each other. One wanted, I think it was like one wanted to use the bathroom first, and then the other one ran in front of them, and so they started fighting. And I remember, like, really what I did was that I grabbed my journal. And again, I will talk journaling until I die. And I sat at my kitchen table and I just journaled through what happened. And it was like, first, like honestly, for a half hour, yelling, fighting, scratching, calling each other names, getting super pissed off, threats. What like my older kid would for a long time. My younger son loves Legos. He's like, I'm gonna go break all your Legos. If you don't stop, I'm gonna break all your Legos. And then they come and tell on each other. And I was just straight up journaling. I was
you're
just
not
like,
even like responding. You're just
I'm
journaling.
not even responding.
Oh,
Okay. And
okay.
I could feel when it would be like the pull for me to go step in.
Yes.
It was almost like a timer would go off. Like, okay, now is the time. Now is when you
Or
step in.
someone's gonna get smacked in the head.
And so to be fair, people got smacked in the head. People's Legos got broken. People's beds got trashed. Okay. And
Whoa.
I'm still journaling. And part of the way through the journal, I realized one of my triggers is that it breaks my heart that my kids act this way because I truly believe that people only act this way when they're in pain, when they're dysregulated. And it just breaks my heart that my kids are feeling like this right now.
Wow, true. Yeah.
So to me, again, it's this relief of that feeling. I would
Mhm.
step in because I don't want to feel that feeling. I don't want to feel that heartbreak. I don't want to feel that my kids are in pain. So I'd step in to relieve my own feeling.
Yeah, that's so
Okay.
true.
So then, like, I kept journaling. They kept fighting, and it would happen. It was like such an amazing thing that it was like they'd get to a resolution, and then like 2 minutes would go by, and they start again, and then they'd get to a resolution, and then they'd fight, and then honestly, it probably took an hour and a half, like a legit hour and a half. And they finally got to a place where they like calmed down enough. They talked. I forgot what the resolution was, but they were done.
Wow.
They came to it. And before I tell what happened next, it was like what happened in that time period is that they finally completed the cycle. And what I
Wow.
realized was that I had been interrupting that cycle.
Yes.
I had been getting in the way.
For your own
So
comfort. So
for
you
my own
started to feel
comfort.
better. Yeah.
So removing myself, it showed them that they could complete the cycle. It showed me that they could complete the cycle. So now it's not a question of can they do it, what's going to happen. They know they can do it. They know how to do it. And then I kid you not, and you would understand this, they've been fighting for an hour and a half. I've been in the kitchen journaling. The house is halfway a mess. What do you think they came out and asked me? They wanted to go to the park.
Yeah, they're
Dad, can you
back
go to
to
the park?
okay.
And if I had been crashing out with them, it would be like, no, are you kidding me? The way
You think
you
I'm gonna
guys
take
were
you to
just
the park?
acting? Right. So I was level enough that my response was like, well, it looks like you guys have a mess to clean up. So as soon as you guys are done putting everything back together, we can go. And that's what happened. And then we went to the park and it's never been back to how it was before. Like that's what like
Wow.
it really took that level. And that's what I mean. Like you have to be willing to feel through these things. You can't get halfway through and then get scared and go backwards. Like it's like the Shawshank Redemption, right? Like if Andy Dufresne crawls halfway through that shit tunnel, his only option is to keep going or crawl back to prison.
Your analogies, Jay.
I mean,
You let them complete the cycle. I have never even let them get close because of my frustration. And I'm like, oh, or they're going to break something. Someone's going to get hurt. I'm not protecting. You're like, yeah, they hit each other. Like I've never considered just they'll work it out and they've never had to because I always step in, let them complete the cycle.
Yeah.
Like, yes, what tangible advice that we've been talking about for 3 hours. This has been everything I wanted it to be. If somebody wants your coaching, where can they get more from you?
Right now it's on J Skibbens on Instagram. So at J Skibbens. In the middle of February, I'll be launching a Coparenting University, which would be like a low level um, program for you to like learn these basics. They'll have videos. There'll be a 7-day reset. So there'll be information on that on my Instagram. That would be the best way to get in contact with me right now. At J Skibbens.
We'll end it with what is one thing that you want a co-parent to take from our conversation today?
Your emotions are the priority. Pay more attention to them. Sit with them. Get to know them. Make them your friends. That is what is going to change everything.